So let's kind of go over a couple things. In the other class, we talked about charcoal and the different ways to make a mark. I made this cheat sheet where it really should be a museum cheat sheet for seeing a Sargent drawing. There are Sargent drawings where he makes these strong lines against a white background. And then there are times when he makes a smeared background and then the lines over a smeared background. And there's times he breaks it up. And there's times he takes the eraser into it and he varies his mark. And you'll see one technique in one painting and not the next drawing, or two in one and not the next. And he's changing how he does each charcoal. Why would I pick graphite and why would I pick charcoal? So hey, this is Chris at Art Secret Studio. I'm laughing because we're in the middle of a class and out of the blue I just said hello. The question came up, why would I use charcoal and why would I use graphite? Think of it as volume in a room. Silver point is the quietest that you can do a pencil drawing with. It's prepared paper, sometimes Chinese white, don't recommend it. But it's prepared paper over something smooth like hot pressed watercolor paper. And then you use jewelry silver and you can put it in a mechanical pencil and you draw on it. And that's how drawings were for the first few hundred years. There is a minor problem with this technique. There's no erasing. Nada, none, zero. Let's get that on the camera. Zero erasing. Okay. So what happens with silver point is it also doesn't get very dark. The beauty of it is the black oxidizes and become more brown over the years. That means if you do a drawing this month and 3 months later you come back, where you work on it's a different color. You want to sort of start and finish this in one swoop. Graphite is a little more loud in volume. Now, if you use cotton and powdered graphite, then the cotton balls and the powdered graphite, because you're using a big round ball and not a sharp line, makes the soft lines of Megan, right? And there's a softness to her disposition. There's a beauty about their family. There's a beauty about her. There's a beauty that's just overwhelming with the blessing of having a child and the light flooding her of all her hopes and dreams are now real. Right? It's the opposite of Chopin's "the purpose of the sea is to make the bee sad." The purpose of the light and the color is to show hope. The purpose of the softness using a cotton ball or cotton balls in nylon is to soften things so there's no harshness in her life. I'm sure with 3 little kids at home, she feels just like that all the time, and I'll probably have to cut this from the video. That's where my wife, after a while with 3 little kids, had to go running to McDonald's on a day off and she got help and she just had a coffee and sat staring out at the window at McDonald's because she didn't know where to go. And that was before McDonald's had real coffee. She just didn't know where to go on her only hour and a half off. Are you saying you've been there?
Yeah.
Been there? Okay. So the next thing that happens is you can actually start using pencil and graphite and not the cotton balls. So now you're going to get a sharper line, but you have to be careful. That sharp line, there is a stage before that, and that could be cross-hatching. If all your lines go one direction, you'd have these jiggy-jaggy lines, and you'd have no sharpness of a line. So if you made all your strokes like Leonardo go one direction to harmonize the whole drawing, it also made that cross-hatching mark, and it broke it up like early Christian egg tempera. And there's a softness to that kind of mark. The third type of mark with graphite would be a vertical line where you outline it with a hard line. And when you're putting that hard line around it, that's harder than cross-hatching and all your lines going this way. Why is that important? Because when I paint, there are times in the painting, in every painting, I grab a round sable and I cross-hatch to soften lines while it's wet at times. Now, if I messed up big time and have to do larger areas and a lot of it, I use a synthetic round. But if I'm just doing the eyelid or something and I'm just trying to work on the shape and I now made the line too sharp after I repainted it, I just go in there with a little sable. I'm so glad there was no class talk today. So graphite goes powdered graphite with round cotton ball and cotton. It's the softest you're going to get. Then you could cross hatch and keep all your lines going the same direction, and you'll have a fuzziness, but you have the ability, because of cross hatching, to make a more defined line. The more defined line, the stronger the mood. So I would probably cross hatch in Megan's drawing, and maybe even go back over the cross hatching with a cotton ball or a stump. I like the small stump. Does that make sense? So the small stump would be in my theme, that everything's beautiful, everything's beautiful, everything's beautiful. I don't know if there's a place where I would use a sharp pencil, but you could. And now in the last, I'm oblivious to new things. So for me, in the last 5 years, I've been introduced to the 7 and 8B pencils. Faber-Castell has a 9B. I think it's very similar to Staedtler Mars's 7 and 8B. The 7 and 8B pencils have something in them that don't shine like wax or don't shine like a graphite pencil. And they are as black as any willow charcoal you can get. So quite often when I put the powerful darks of that 8B pencil in there, I go a little too far. And then I take a 6B and go over it to bring the shine back into some of it, so you don't notice the shine to no shine. And I leave. If I put in like an area in the eyelid with black, I may cover the whole eyelid on the right side, and then the graphite would go over 2/3 of that area, and I'd sort of merge it going from shine to no shine without anyone noticing. But you just can't put it down. You're going to see that 8B.